All right, looks like we got our notes here. We got our intro set, our coffee ready. Yo, what is good, everybody? Your boy Jadiro here, and today we'll be talking about the theory crafted builds that we came up with from the last live stream that we did. Now, Season 10 is just around the corner. It starts on September 23rd, and I'm excited to show you guys all these builds. And I got 4 builds for you, each from a separate spirit hall of the Spiritborn. So we got Gorilla, Jaguar, Eagle, and Centipede. And each of the builds I've broken up into a blaster, casual, and leveling section for you. Now, this is a quick disclaimer, guys. I know this is a long-winded intro, but this is theoretical builds. That means they're not factual yet. That means the season hasn't dropped, and these are all based on theories and ideas that we've shared together. And as a principle of mine that I like to follow is I don't like to make builds or publish builds until the season has actually dropped and we can actually see what the build can do. Now, all these builds are subject to change, but I really want to bring back what I think is missing from Diablo 4, and that's simply just having fun. And with these theory crafted ideas, we can spark some ingenuity here and get a head start on the season to come. So without further ado, let's start off with our first build here, our first theory crafted build with the Jaguar in our Rip Jag Season 10 build. And of course, the mantra here is Jaguar. Now, start off the build here. Let's go over the abilities first. We have Rushing Claw, Scourge, Armored Hide, Counterattack, Ravager, and the Hunter. And for the Spirit Halls, we're going pure Jaguar. Now, moving down, we're going to go over the Chaos Uniques next. The first Chaos Unique that we're going here is the War Crozier, and this is simply to increase the damage of Rushing Claw up to 300%. And then we're going Fist of Fate for an additional 360% damage increase sometimes. And then, of course, because we're going pure Jaguar, we have the double primary and secondary Jaguar Hall. We're going Loyalties Mantle simply to buff up that Spirit Hall percentage. And then finally, for the last Chaos Unique that we're going here, we're going the Wushu Nakpa simply to upgrade our Spirit Hall bonuses when we use an ultimate ability. Now, as for the Chaos perks here, I want Convocation of Spirits because I simply just want to spam Rushing Claw and the Hunter non-stop. And when we're using Convocation of Spirits, we have the ability to keep casting the Hunter even with Rushing Claw. So I think that's pretty cool as well. And then we're going the basics here, Marred Guard for some extra survivability. Then we're going Accelerating Chaos just for some extra damage. And then we're going Erupting Chaos just for some additional damage. Now, I also have the skill tree and the Paragon board filled out, but again, this is a theoretical build, and I don't want to go too deep into the weeds on something that isn't official yet. However, we do have the blaster version of the build, which is what I showed you, and as you can see here, if we go over to the casual build, now this is meant for anyone playing casually or doesn't have a whole lot of time to play. This will easily push you Torment 3 and Torment 4 objectives, but the idea here is that you might not be able to solo a boss. That's the caveat, that's the catch, but most people I hear are only playing in tier 2 and tier 3, so this might be beneficial to them anyways. And what I did here was I simply just removed all the Chaos Uniques. I only kept the ones that I thought were mandatory. Not so much mandatory, but the ones that matter the most in order to make the build effective. And moving over to the leveling tab, it's the same thing. We just simply added Rock Splitter. This is just simply to help you progress. If you want to use this build to level, that's the whole idea here. And then I simply just put on the aspects, what the most basic aspects that you find in the game as damage multipliers on your weapon, your rings, and your gloves. And your necklace. And as for the Chaos perks, I just kept it simple. I just put Alacrity and Accelerating Chaos. Alright, so that's a brief overview for the Rip Jag build for Spiritborn. Now I want to explain the Blaster tab just a little bit more thoroughly so that when we move on to the other builds in this video, you guys kind of understand the gist of what I'm doing with these tabs. Now the Blaster tab is simply for those that can play 16 hours a day, go to bed, rinse, repeat, wake up, do the same thing over and over again. And I also want this build to be critiqued and dissected by the Blaster community if they happen to see the builds once they go live. And the reason it's not fully loaded like with Mythic Uniques is because I want the casual audience as well to be able to achieve this Blaster tab build. But yeah, that's a little bit more of an in-depth discussion overall for the video. I just want you guys to understand this is what I'm doing with these 3 separate tabs, Blaster, Casual, and Leveling, is that we have something for everybody. And speaking of the next few builds, let's go over the next one here, which is the Haram's Palm Gorilla build. Now, this is a Crushing Hands build, so we're going Crushing Hands as our main ability. Then we're going Vortex just to group the enemies together and really do some big damage. Then we have the Protector, simply just want to see what this is capable of. Unfortunately, we couldn't test the Protector efficiently on the PTR, but let's see what it does when Season 10 goes live. Then we have Ravager, then we have Armored Hide again, and then we have Counterattack. Now, as you can see, for our primary and secondary Spirit Hall, we're mixing up a bit. We're going Jaguar and then Eagle. Now, the reason we mixed up and shuffled around the Spirit Halls here is simply because making our primary Spirit Hall Jaguar makes Crushing Hand a Jaguar skill. And then we also go the Harmony of Ebby, which also makes Crushing Hands an Eagle skill. And then we get a damage multiplier based on how many spirit types that ability has. So we have 3, so we're getting a 3 times 48 multiplier, if that makes sense, every time that we use Crushing Hands. So it's big damage. And then we're going the Rod of Kekpileki. I can't say that properly. Essentially what it does is it makes our core ability a basic ability, which is Crushing Hands. And I wanted to go an overpowered build, so we went the Banished Lord's Talisman here. And then we're going Heshi Ikasungi, which is the new unique for Spiritborn. Now this allows us to invoke the Protector at will, which is pretty cool. And I think it's just cool that we get ranks like Gorilla Skills. So our Crushing Hand Gorilla Skills is going to be nuts. And then moving down here, we're going Brains over Bronze for our Chaos perk. This is simply because we get that fat damage multiplier to overpower damage. And then we're getting a fat maximum life multiplier too. And with Overpower, the more health you have is the more overpower damage you do essentially. Now remember, Rod of K makes Crushing Hand a basic ability, so Alacrity is huge. And again, we have the casual version of the build. I just simply kept what I thought was the basics needed for Chaos Uniques to make the build function, which is Rod and Banish Lords. And then of course we have the leveling version of the build, which is simply a leveling version of the build, and we just have the basic aspects that you'll find very easily in the beginning of the game to make this build push. All right, so that does it for Haram's Palm with the Gorilla build. Let's move on to the Eagle next. Where are you? Oh, there it is. Bluebirds evade build. All right, if you guys haven't guessed it already, you guys know the starter build that we're starting with season 10 is evade Spiritborn. And of course, we're going the Eagle Spirit Hall. We're going Thunderspike, then we're going Armored Hide, then we're going Counterattack, Ravager, then we got the Seeker because the Seeker has totally been buffed and it's totally awesome. And then we're going Toxic Skin. Again, we're doubling up on the Spirit Halls with double Eagle on the primary and secondary. Now, I did put Harley Quinn's crest here. I might change this right now on the fly simply to the band First Breath. Because again, I don't want it to have any mythic uniques. I want it to be achievable for a majority of the players. But getting back to the Evade Eagle here, this is fully loaded. I don't even think we need Fist of Fate. It's just kind of additive. Really what happened was I had to add the Sunbird's Gorget just to make the build a lot better because they made Sunbird's Gorget a Chaos Unique now. And we're going the Band of First Breath. Then we're going Loyalty's Mantle. Again, this is just synergistic with the doubling up on the same Spirit Hall and the same with Wushu Nakpa. And again, Sunbird's Gorget simply has the 3 best passives that you can get for the Spiritborn in the game. And then we have Fist of Fate here simply for a potential 360% damage increase. So, I mean, you can't go wrong. You don't have to fully load this build, but that's something that looks like it would do a lot of damage, you know? Now, as for the Chaos perks here, we're going a Beast Corner, absolutely the best. I know it got like a little bit of a nerf and a little bit of a rework, but I think it's still going to be strong. Then we're going Marred Guard simply for the defenses and to synergize with the Beast Cornered. Then we're going Alacrity simply so we have Evade up all the time. And that's originally why I had Harley Quinn's crest on the helmet. It's just simply for that cooldown reduction. It gives you Evade up all the time. You don't have to worry about a cooldown. And then we're going Back Off just for an extra damage multiplier to distant enemies. Again, of course, we have the casual version of the build. All we have here is Loyalty's Mantle and Wushu. Simply just keep it simple. We don't want to overload it too much. Again, we just want you to have fun. And then we have the leveling version of the build, which is even crazier because this build is just going to go crazy, guys. I'm telling you, Evade Spiritborn is on the menu. If you're playing Spiritborn like myself, I highly suggest you open with this as a leveling one. All right, well, that does it for the Eagle Evade Spiritborn. Let's move on to our 4th and final build here with the Centipede. And it's called Sting Kong, I believe. Let's hit the Spiritborn tab here. Scroll down. There it is, Sting Kong. Now, essentially, this is something like Haram's Palm, but with Sting. Now, the only difference here is that we're going Stinger. We're also going Rock Splitter the whole way through the build. And I'll explain why in just a bit. And then we're also going the Protector, Counterattack, Ravager, and Vortex, just to group those enemies together and make clearing a lot easier, especially with Stinger. And then as you can see here, we've switched up or mixed up the Spirit Halls with Jaguar and Gorilla for our primary and secondary Spirit Hall. And we're dialing it in with the basic damage here with Rod of K and the Sep Rod and Harmony of Ebby. So again, Stinger will be 3 different spirit types, and then we're getting a damage increase to our basic abilities because we have the Rod of Kepileke, which is dope. And I simply threw in Heshi Ikasungi here again because we're going to Protector as our ultimate ability, but we're also making Stinger a Gorilla ability by going the Harmony of Ebiwaka. So all those Gorilla skills are going to go right into Stinger, and it's going to be a huge ability. As for the Chaos perks here, we have Chaos Unleashed. I'm only going this simply because I want to see how this works. I think this is kind of cool because it's a poison build, and it's going to be able to deal damage of the highest damage type that we have, which will be poison. This is the build that I want to test the most. Simply, I just want to see how it works in theory. This is the most theory-crafted theory build that I have. So this is really just a cool idea that I had, and I thought maybe it might work, but I can't wait to see it in Season 10. And again, we have the casual version of the build. Nothing too much changes here. I'm just giving you guys the basics on what you need to keep to make the build function. And then, of course, we have the leveling version of the build as well, which is quite simple. So that does it for all the theory crafted builds I wanted to present today. Whether you're a casual, a blaster, or you're leveling, you're coming back to the game, or you're a new player, we got something here for you. Now, although they might not be live right now, what I can say is that they're going to be totally fun. And again, that is the underlying message I want to send out here to the Diablo 4 community is let's have fun again. If you guys liked today's video, please let me know down in the comments if there's any critiques that you could drop or if there's any builds that you guys have that you're conjuring that you'd like to let me know about. Can't wait to see all of you guys in Sanctuary for Season 10. I'm your boy Jadiro. Sign out for now. Peace.